Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by...
Nergus Dave.
And today we're going to continue the Recovery Dice series. This time we're talking the Rogue. Jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
All right, we're closing in on the end. It's in sight, but we still have a few more to go in our Recovery Dice series.
All right, so we got your healing hit dice, recovery dice, whatever you want to call it. Today we're talking Rogue.
We are. So Rogue is another one where you have 3 archetypes. So sometimes we try and build one out for each archetype. You also have a bunch of general features. So the Rogue is a little bit tougher because they get a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, and it's, this is a skill-heavy class, a combat-heavy class, a skill-heavy class and a damage-heavy class. So I didn't feel there's any need to go in that direction. So where else do you go with the Rogue?
Well, let's examine, what is the Rogue? What are the things that we could possibly look at for the Rogue that are like the hallmarks of the class?
All right, so Rogues are, as I said, they're good at sneak attack, so they're good at dealing damage. They're typically stealthy, but they're experts at several skills.
Right. Well, they're typically stealthy only because stealth is one of their class skills, and they get a bunch of skills. So most characters go for that. Plus, they hit hard, but they're not good at getting in.
Right.
So they want to get in and want to get out. So a couple features we right off the bat is like sneak attack, bunch of extra damage dice. The fact that they get expertise, they get the most skills in the game. What else is there?
They get the cunning action. They're very good at using their actions.
Yes, and even at higher levels, they can always pretty much use their reaction as well. So of the classes, this is an action-heavy class, so they get to use them all. And it's like, man, what are we going to do with the recovery dice? How do we make it interesting? We don't want to really give them more damage. We don't want to, make them better at skills because they're already really good at those. And then looking at the specific archetypes, if we move away from the generic, you have the thief, which is the classic,
the cut purse.
Yeah, the classic rogue from previous editions of D&D. You have the assassin, which is really doubling down on I do a lot of damage.
And then you have your arcane trickster, which incorporates magic into its fold.
Right. So, when we kind of look at those, right, the thief kind of gets better at quite a few skills and gets a little more versatile. The assassin gets to do even more damage, and we already decided we feel like the rogue as a whole does enough damage already. And then, the arcane trickster is the only one where we kind of have, I feel like, the most wiggle room.
Right.
But it would be weird to do just like the arcane trickster.
Yeah.
So we went for, instead of making them better at the things they already do, we just added more options and some versatility.
Right. So I talked about the cunning action, and if you go out of the player's handbook, the mastermind gives you some new options with that cunning action. So well, why can't we do the same?
Right. Well, so does actually the arcane trickster does as well, because they have leisure main. But again, we're moving with that vein. So there was only one thing left we could come up with, and we kind of steal from the monk a little bit on this one.
So what if your cunning action allowed you to dodge as well?
Right, you can take the dodge action from the round. People get disadvantage to hit you. It makes you a bit better with your saving throws. But, you're going to have to expend that resource in order to do it.
But imagine coupling, I'm still using my action. I'm gonna use my resource to be able to take dodge, and then at later levels, I'm gonna be able to use my reaction to double down on that. If I actually do get it.
Yeah, you'll be able to, absolutely. But again, it's they're investing a lot of resources just in that. But just in case, not in the face, gives it a new meaning. So then we came up with something we called dirty tricks.
Okay, what is dirty tricks?
So dirty tricks is they expend that resource, and for the next minute, improvised weapons are now a proficiency skill for them, or they're proficient in them.
But not only that, they're going to be able to sneak attack with them as well.
Right.
So when you get into that bar fight, because it's going to happen, you can break that chair leg off and sneak attack with it.
Or the bottle, or, I think even a sucker punch, are all things that we're saying, dirty tricks is going to encompass, and let the rogue use those for them.
You fling the plate into the guy's neck.
Ah! So very violent.
Well, I mean, it's not lethal, but it's enough to knock somebody out if you hit them hard enough.
That's true. Now the last one is where we're going to let the rogue actually buff his buddy a little bit. So with this one, I think we're calling it hit him where it hurts, right? So so as long as you have an ally within 30 feet, you spend your resource. As long as they meet the requirements of having advantage or having
an ally within 5 feet.
An ally within 5 feet, they can now use your sneak attack damage. You can't use it for this round because technically it still follows the rule that the sneak attack can only be used once per round.
So for your normal round, your normal action, you're giving it up to allow somebody else to use it. So the damage dice is still going to be there. It's still going to be available, but perhaps you can't get there, but you can get to within 30 feet of your friend, and he needs to do it. Or there are a few very rare cases where it might be incredibly useful to give it up to somebody else. So in those instances, I think this is a phenomenal way to bolster it out there.
Yeah, there's a couple instances that we kind of came up with when we were talking this one over. Like, for instance, say, one of the players in your group has a magic weapon. You guys are fighting something that is only affected by magic weapons. So you're not going to be able to take a full advantage of it or any advantage from it, possibly. So you're like, all right, well, I'll give it up to the fighter because he's got a magic sword.
Right. So his weapon doesn't matter for the sneak. So if he's got the long sword or the great sword, and you tell him hit there, do this, he's got the ability to use that dice for the round. You've got to use your resource, but I think it works.
Yeah, it extends it, and essentially for the most part, we just gave the rogue just more versatility and a few more options if he expends a resource.
So the first ability was to use bonus action to dodge. It's called nimble. Hit him where it hurts. So hit him where it hurts is where you can give the sneak attack to
an ally.
To an ally, and then the third one was
dirty tricks.
Dirty tricks, getting the ability to be proficient with and sneak attack with improvised weapons.
Yeah, so for the most part, I don't know if they're better choices, but how about fun choices? We'll go with that.
Fun choices it is.
So you guys let us know what you think down in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can hang out with us over on Facebook.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.